Welcome to my show in conversation with Taha at UK Asian Business Council Television. Congratulations on your launch of the new political party, Pejong. I wanted to ask you what was the motivation behind the launch of this new political party, amongst all the other parties in Malaysia.
It is important that we should try and get away with just thinking of politics as a means to make money for yourself. We should go back to the real politics where political parties have plans for the country. They want to rebuild the country, they want to develop the country, and their objective is to serve the people. But now there is a lot of bribery involved in politics. People are being bought, people are jumping from party to party, not because of their struggle, but mainly because they are offered a better job with better pay.
But do you think, during the time of COVID, calling for another general election would be a good idea? Because in the last election, the country spent about $120 million, whereas it is estimated that it will cost about $400 million during COVID-19 to call for a general election?
Well, I don't think it is a good idea. But of course, if we are forced to, we have no choice but to go for a general election. But if another party or the opposition manage to get a majority in parliament, there may have to be a change of the government. That would be less expensive. I agree with you. It is very expensive to have an election now.
Do you expect the change to happen anytime soon?
No, I don't think so. It's very difficult. The political situation in Malaysia is very confused, with parties forming coalitions, getting out of coalitions, and people jumping from party to party. The country is not being looked after, and people are really fed up with the politics of these parties. So I feel that although the situation is bad and needs to be corrected, but correction will be very difficult and it will be very costly. So we may have to make do for the time being without too much disruption in the politics of the country.
What are your thoughts on the business and economy post-COVID-19?
Yeah, we have to accept there will be changes, radical changes, because the way we do business before will not be possible. And the markets now has shrunken because people are not making money, and therefore they are not able to buy even if you can produce. So the whole structure of the economy has changed with the advent of new technologies. In the future, perhaps most of the businesses will be done online, and things like deliveries, etc., will be through online communication, purchases and selling and all that. So we must accept the need for us to change the way we do business and to introduce new business that are relevant to the facilities that are offered by the new technologies.
Malaysia is very good in technology, especially the financial technology, which we call the fintech, and also Islamic banking. You are the leaders of the world. I believe that you see Malaysia will play a larger part in this affair of the financial industry.
Yes, there are certain areas where we have developed quite good expertise, particularly with regard to Islamic banking and Islamic financial institutions. But that is not all. The current way of the current financial system needs to be looked into so that people may have much easier access to funds, and banks must be prepared to help stimulate the economy rather than thinking of what the banks would make for themselves.
Now, coming to trade between United Kingdom and Malaysia, what are your thoughts on that for the Asian region and specifically for the ASEAN region?
Well, Britain and Asia and Europe as a whole is a big market. We produce things that are needed by Europe, component parts, raw materials, and certain products that we can produce at a lower cost than the Europeans. So we have always looked into this, and also we have certain assets. For example, during this COVID-19 pandemic, we realize the glove making is a good business. So much so that Malaysia now is the big producer of gloves in the world. The reason is, of course, we produce our own rubber, natural rubber, but
Correct.
we also go into plastics.
Okay.
So the demand because of COVID-19 is very, very big. So we have moved earlier into that area, and now the business is expanding. But there are other areas where we would have certain advantage which we must exploit.
Now, the United Kingdom coming out of Europe and Brexit, it do you think that will bring more opportunities for Malaysian businessmen to come into UK and look at other avenues?
Possibly, our business people are now going abroad, where they see opportunities. They even buy companies because of their access to other markets, which are not so close or open to the uh, British market. So there are a lot of opportunities for joint ventures, for the purchase of certain technology companies to be brought here, so that where before they were too costly and not profitable uh, coming out of UK, they would be profitable in Malaysia.
And like I mentioned before, that the Malaysian technology sector is very, very important because you have a lot of gaming coming out of Malaysia, you have a lot of fintech coming out of Malaysia, even green technologies are coming out of Malaysia. And looking at the oil sector where there is palm oil and other products, where do you see the whole industry moving in the near future?
Well, we produce a lot of raw materials. We used to export raw materials without any added value. We realized that we have lost quite a lot doing this. Now we want to look into how we can add value to whatever raw material that we can export. So we'll be looking into areas like cosmetics, for the palm oil, for example, and there may be chemicals that can be produced from this raw material that may be needed for modern industries. So we are going to spend more money on research into the potentials of all the raw materials that we produce.
I'm going to move into more of a political question now. What is your opinion about the revocation of Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir in India?
Well, I always believe that when you have a problem, the solution should be through negotiation or arbitration or resort to a court of law. But when we take action, physical action, that may not be to the liking of others, then you are stirring up controversy. And I think the world does not need more controversies. We have enough problems today with pandemic and all that, without ourselves going into areas that has been dormant for quite a long time and then stirring up problems there.
And geopolitically, what do you think is the importance of Jammu and Kashmir now?
Well, it is a place which is generating a lot of different opinions in the rest of the world. And I think I think that they should resort to some other peaceful means of settling this problem. Yes, they have terrorism and things like that, but we also have terrorists in Malaysia. We don't go to the source of terrorism in order to conquer them. We have to make certain other approaches that would be less costly and less violent.
And the latest development of UAE and Israel peace treaty. What are your thoughts on this peace treaty happening?
Well, it is a peace treaty, but when the Americans suggested that they should supply F-35 to UAE, apparently Israel doesn't like this. Still doesn't quite trust this new friend of theirs. So the tension will not be reduced very much. And of course, other Arab countries will feel threatened by this new agreement between UAE and Israel.
And do you think Saudi Arabia will follow suit and have a peace treaty with Israel as well?
So far, they have not shown any inclination to enter into such an agreement.
Talking about Iran and Turkey, how closely do you think now Iran and Turkey will be working after such a peace treaty has been signed between UAE and Israel?
Well, when countries feel threatened, they resort to spending more money on defense. But of course, defense and offense cannot be separated completely. So there will be capacities for attacking other countries developing in that area. It is not a very good reaction that we see in either Iran or in Turkey. They are bound to improve their capacity to defend themselves and in the process to become more capable of taking well positive action against others.
Where do you see Malaysia playing a role between the geopolitical alliance of China, Russia, Iran, Turkey, and Pakistan? Where do you think Malaysia is going to stand?
We are too small for that. And this spreads right around the world. We can only watch. And if anything happens that affects us, then we will think how we will react to that.
But now the Malaysian economy is not small. It is looked by the world as a big economy. I mean, you have a lot of investment coming into your country from different parts of the world. If that was the case, Malaysia would not be named in the countries where decisions are made.
Well, we have a foreign policy that emphasizes friendly relationship with all countries, irrespective of ideologies. And we have followed this policy over a long period of time, and it has been very beneficial for us because as a trading nation, we need markets. We cannot quarrel with our markets. And we also need foreign investment into the country and inputs in terms of technology to boost our capacities. So these are things that emphasizes friendly relation. So if we can avoid joining blocks and things like that, we will try, excepting for the ASEAN region, where we are working together to the benefit of other members.
The Quad alliance between America, India, Australia, and Japan, then do you think the Quad alliance is any kind of threat to Malaysia? I'm not just talking in defense, terms. I'm talking even in business terms.
Well, for everything that is done, including the coming together of countries in different regions, always there will be some positive things coming out of that. So we normally wait to see what would be the results of their coming together. We feel that, for example, the TPP that was proposed before by America
Mhm.
obviously was not beneficial to us, and we were against it. We are still not sure whether we should support it now, even though America is not in it. But whenever we are faced with actions taken by neighbors or groups or countries, we need to study them very carefully because normally what they profess they should do may not be possible for them to carry out.
Do you think that the Quad alliance will be able to contain the dominance of China in the Indian Ocean?
I don't think so. How do you contain China? Obviously, some physical containment like sending warships and all that will only attract China will have to strengthen their capacities. And eventually, this will lead to confrontation, accidents may happen, and there may be violence. These are things that are not good. When it's far better that when countries come together to find ways of solving their problem through negotiation with their potential opponents.
And how do you see the relationship developing between Malaysia and China?
Well, China is now our biggest market. We need to be friendly with China because we can sell a lot of things to them. And we also get a lot of investment coming from China. Our relationship at this moment is very good. There has been some problems due to the action of the previous government. We have resolved that. We have talked with the Chinese on the need for us to modify arrangements and contracts and the like. But that was done in a friendly way. It doesn't spoil our good relation with China.
You must feel great that Malaysia is beating China in glove exports right now.
Well, we try to do our best, but China is a big country. We have 30 million people. They have 1.4 billion.
That is true.
They are basically a world unto their own.
Yes, yes. It is the manufacturing facility of the world, not just for China itself. Your so when I say your, I mean Malaysian relationship with the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan are good. That's what I've seen, read, and observed so far. But he did skip the Islamic summit, which was organized in Malaysia. Was the reason behind it giving into the Saudi UAE pressure when the attack happened on the oil fields in Saudi Arabia? And Iran was a participant in the summit. Was that the reason you feel?
Well, obviously, Pakistan owes a lot to Saudi Arabia. They maybe have some financial dependence upon Saudi Arabia. If and then they have a lot of workers in Saudi Arabia. If the Saudis decide to be very decide to take action to call back their loans and also send back their workers, Pakistan will be in grave trouble. So I understand why Imran was not able to attend. But of course, Iran is a different matter. Iran is used to being quite independent in its foreign policies, even though it is being oppressed by America. It seems not it's not going to give in that easily. So they came knowing full well, of course, that this is not something that Saudis like or America likes, but they feel they are a free country and they have a right to participate in whatever conference that they are invited to.
And with that, it takes me to India. And what do you think about the foreign policies of India now? Especially after the new government has come in 2019.
Well, India was a secular state. It was a very good. The biggest democracy in the world, and we have good relations with India. So India is highly respected by the rest of the world. But lately, because of the change in the government, they have adopted a different policy. India is a secular state, not a Hindu state, not a Muslim state. It is secular, which means that all people of all beliefs can live there together with others. But lately there is some sense of intolerance manifested by protests in the streets of Indian cities. So we see a change in their foreign policy, in their domestic policy, which affects also their foreign policy. We hope that they will revert to being the secular state they used to be.
Why do you think they advise to stop import of palm oil from Malaysia?
Well, we have spoken about the Kashmir issue. We are interested in raising problems where people are unjustly treated. It's not particularly because it is Kashmir, it is just because of oppression. So we thought we have a right to make our comments on this. Unfortunately, India didn't like what we said, and there is a threat to ban imports of palm oil. But so far, they have still been importing palm oil.
And where do you see now Malaysia's political will taking Malaysia with yourself, with your new party now?
Well, we feel that there are too many internal problems that we have to face. As far as foreign relations is concerned, that is not too much of a problem for us. So we have to clean up the country because under one of the previous prime ministers, the country borrowed huge sums of money. Money was stolen. There was a lot of money laundering being done. All this, and corruption is rife. Everyone is involved in corruption. We need to try and clean up. It's not going to be easy because people have now accepted that corruption is something that is normal. We have to point out that it is not normal. It will destroy this country. So we are busy with that, and we have little time for foreign controversies.
I wish you all the luck with your new venture, with your new will to clean up the country and make it a prosperous country and to lead in the region. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Mahathir Mahathir, and I would love to interview you once travel plans open and I can come to Malaysia.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
again. Thank you again.
Thank you.